Hello guys, this is Kappa and this is my first guide video of the channel and currently my third video that I have posted on this channel. So in this video I'm gonna talk about the Poison Martial Artist build that I made a while back, and I have a showcase video on it on the channel. In case you haven't watched that video, I'm killing every boss in the game and showing how the build performs in maps and on bosses. So this video I'm gonna go through every topic of the build and every mechanic that I'm currently using to make the build viable. So we're gonna go through the core thing of the build, like the core item that makes the build, and that is the Plaguefinger gloves. That I'm currently equipped here. So the gloves basically are working. Oh, my bad. Through the martial artist ascendancy way of the Stone Fist, and what they do is basically they transform the gloves into a better version of themselves. This works on any gloves and on any unique gloves. It transforms them in a unique version that is called Fists of Stone. And as you can see here, the base version of the gloves is granting all damage from hits contributes to poison magnitude. That basically implies that cold, lightning, and fire damage can also contribute to the poison damage magnitude. But in our case, we're not using that. We are still dealing poison damage through pure physical and chaos damage. And we are using the upgraded version for this mod right here, the critical hits poison the enemy, which basically lets us stack crit damage and critical hit chance in order to boost the poison damage and also the poison chance. So we are not having any poison chance on any items. We are just doing crit hit chance, which transforms in poison. Poison chance, basically. These gloves, this version of the gloves is pretty good. It's pretty, I don't know, OP, I guess, because it has 4 good mods. Like these are perfect mods that you, for example, our build utilize all of them. This one is basically the most important because this makes the build up. This is how the idea came to my mind, and then the others are just little pluses that we get alongside the crit hits poison the enemy. So basically, we get increased magnitude of poison for every poison we inflict with critical hits. Since we are only inflicting poison through critical hits, this is applied all the time constantly. So that's bonus damage. Then we have the chance to gain onslaught for 4 seconds on any hit on the enemy. So basically, onslaught is a, I don't know, buff, I guess, temporary buff on POE 2 that grants you increased kill speed and movement speed for a duration. This can be further improved through some cluster points, clusters to some skill points on the tree, but I believe there aren't many. Like, okay, no, basically on POE 2 you don't really have those nodes here. Yeah. And also the onslaught buff in this game can only be granted by other sources, like chance to gain onslaught on kill and not on hit. Basically on kill doesn't really work on bosses because you don't really kill anything unless the boss spawns some mobs that you kill. But on hit you basically have onslaught all the time on you. And I believe so there are some other versions of other unique gloves, Fists of Stone, that also have this modifier. I'm not sure, but I'm 70% sure that this is how it works. It's a modifier that it's found currently often on any Fist of Stone version of gloves, of unique gloves. and we got lucky and also have it on here. And also the more global evasion and energy shield, which we utilize this to uh, be more tanky and to increase our defenses. So these are some pretty solid unique gloves, in my opinion, that we are using and currently making this build exist. Now, besides that, I'm gonna talk about firstly about our offensives, like the main sources of damage that we are having. The main source is basically physical damage, and the item that grants us insane physical damage is basically the quarter stuff. You kind of need around 400 or 500 physical damage stuff in order to for the build to work. There is a unique, I believe, so where it is, that is pretty. It's extremely cheap and really effective on our build. I can't find it. Okay, this one, duality. Yes, this one is. It's a new unique, I believe, with this league implemented, which grants us with max roll. I believe it grants us around 500, 600 physical DPS with a fair amount of crit chance and attack speed, and also crit damage bonus. So these are all mods that we are using. It also grants us finality, which is a temporary buff while you expand combo with other skills. It grants you increased critical hit chance. So basically that can also be utilized in our build, but I didn't really bother to make that a thing. But for a starter item, this one can make the build feel pretty nice, pretty solid. Okay, and then we have poison damage. The way poison damage works in this game is basically uh, the higher the hit you attack with the enemy, the higher the poison inflicted with that hit, the higher its magnitude will be. So basically, we need a big damage hit like this one. So we have almost not almost 500,000 hit DPS on a single impact Tempest spell that deals 1 million poison damage. This here shows us 4 million because we have 4 poison stacks of the active on the enemy, and that's why it says 4 million here. Then the other thing is crit damage. It's basically our main source of improving the base physical stats because we crit 100% of the time. So basically, the crit damage bonus, as you can see here, we have 914% crit multiplier. It's basically a really easy way to get more damage. That's why Plaguefingers works really good in this because the build scales of critical hits, critical damage actually, for the poison to be high. So yeah, also critical clusters are around martial artist quite, like most of them are around here, around this area. So that's really easy for us to get them. Then we have rage, which we have plenty of. Oh, excuse me. We have 57 rage after we use this crazing slaughter that we have here with megalomaniac jewel, which basically gives us plus 15 maximum rage after we use a skill that requires glory. That skill in our case is gonna be Warbanner, and after using after using Warbanner once, we're gonna get 15 maximum rage for 20 seconds, right? So that's a pretty good anoint. We can't really go on foot from our martial artist here. I mean, we can do that, but it's really far and it's not worth it. You wanna anoint this or just get it on a megalomaniac, as I did. And without that, we have 40, 57, 42 rage. Yeah. So what Rage actually does in our build is basically boosting our damage. The base stats that Rage grants are basically more attack damage per 1% more attack damage per one Rage. Actually, I'm not sure if it's attack damage or it's general damage, but I'm pretty sure it's attack damage. So in this case, if you have 57, we get 57% more damage. Then we utilize that rage with some lineage support gems, which in this case is Takatis Ire, which grants us poison from supported skills deal damage 2% faster per rage we have. In this case, if we have 57, 2% times 57, it's 114 rage. That means we deal our poison that we apply for, I don't know, 2.51 seconds in this case is gonna deal that damage faster, right? So this is a core stat or maybe modifier that a poison type build wanna stack. You can also get this from some points, skill 3 points here. Damaging enemies deal damage faster, but this, as you can see, is pretty low and is not really worth it because in our case we have to go all the way down here and then here. So these are a lot of points which we don't really care about because this is pretty useless. Chance to inflict elements, we already have 100% chance to inflict poison. And this is magnitude, okay, that's alright, duration, whatever. But yeah, mainly this thing here exists, and I believe there are some others around here. And you can get that on jewels as well. But as you can see on jewels, you get only 7% damaging enemies deal damage faster. So that's pretty low. But in our case, stacking this much rage, we get 114 damage faster, just like that. So we get it we achieve that from a source that's more efficient than these base sources that we can get. All right, and another thing, this damage, poison damage deals damage faster. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but this is what I think it is and can be translated for you to understand easily. It works as an APS, attacks per second, for an attack, but it works for damage over time, in this case poison. So basically, you want to have a high APS for any attack that you use, or a high cast time for any spell that you cast, to basically deal damage faster. Right? So that's how it works. Moving on from this support gem right here, we're using Medved's Failing, which is also a rage dependent support gem, which grants us 5% increased attack speed per 5 rage, and that's nice because since we have 57 at 55% at 55 rage, we get 55% increased attack speed, which is great. And as you can see, this support gem has a downside that makes you lose 1% of your maximum life per 5 rage when you support its skills. But since we are using Chaos Inoculation, aka CI, we are not affected by this debuff. I'm not sure if this is a bug or not, but there are some other support gems or I don't know, skills in the game that have this debuff here that makes you lose 1% of maximum life, and they work the same as this one when you have Chaos Inoculation. I don't know what is the effect here, why it works like this, if it's intended or not, but since it works, why not use it? Because if we would lose 1% of our life per 5 rage, in this case we have 1 life, we would be dead instantly when we use a skill. So it wasn't gonna work. But apparently you don't consume any of that life while you have Chaos Inoculation with this gem. So this is pretty nice. And also this way we generate rage pretty fast because we get 10% of action rage on melee hit. So yeah, we get at 57 we get 5 rage, I believe. Yeah, 5 rage. Yeah, I think we get 5. I'm not sure actually if we get 5 rage or less. Yeah. All right, moving on. that's why we utilize Rage. Then we have Impale. Well, Impale is a really interesting and kind of weird mechanic in the game that we are currently utilizing. Why is that? It's because I'm gonna show you right here. Basically, the way Impale is, um, it stores 30% of the pre-mitigation physical damage of an impaling hit. Therefore, the stored damage hasn't been mitigated by a target's mitigation layers as armor. So basically, you apply impale with a hit and it ignores the armor that the enemy is having, so you don't have to break it in order to achieve more damage on that impaling hit. Um, This is because an extracted impale will add its damage directly to the pre-mitigation damage of the attack hit that extracted it, which is then mitigated by any relevant mitigation that the target has before they take damage from that hit. Because uh, you you impale an enemy as though the enemy doesn't have any armor, and that damage is not granted it directly to the enemy, it's rather stored, and then with another hit you are gonna extract that damage and apply its damage to the current mitigated to the mitigated damage that the enemy has. So in other words, impale boosts our um, hit damage, and that hit damage is in this case the impact of the Tempest Bell. Why we wanna use Impale, you might ask yourself. Well, as I said before, the way poison works, um, I don't think actually, did I say it before? I think I did. I don't remember, whatever. But the way poison works, as I said, the higher the hit damage you deal with a skill, the higher the magnitude of the poison is gonna be. So Impale basically adds some extra damage to that hit that we are dealing with the impact of the Tempest Bell. I'm actually pretty sure that Impale is not a mechanic that works in the path of building, so that implies that our damage, depending on the magnitude of the impale that we have inflicted with a different skill, the Tempest Bell impact damage here would be increased. I don't know by how much, maybe by 30%. I'm not sure if that's the case, but probably. So, yeah. So we should have more damage than it is saying here. Well, that being said, how we apply Impale, you might ask yourself. Well, we have a couple of skills that apply Impale, but as you can see, we have Impale support gem on any skill that we are using besides Tempest Bell. On Whirling Assault, even on Wind Dancer, that we might get sometimes hit with it, and we would extract that Impale hit. And this is why on Herald of Blood we don't have it, because Impale is a buff effect or debuff effect on the enemy that we want to use only on bosses. In this case, Herald of Blood doesn't really work on bosses, only on maps, clear, whatever. So, why it works, we have two skills that we use to apply the impale hit, and all other skills besides Tempest Bell, we have the support gem in order for them not to extract the impaled hit, and that's so only the Tempest Bell would extract it. So the impale hit also has to be used on a quite high damage skill. In this case, our highest damage dealers be after Tempest Bell are Hollow Focus and Staggering Palm. That's why we noted here that we are using Staggering Palm to apply Impale with, and then Hollow Focus as well. This is the only attribute that Hollow Focus has in this build to apply Impale. And then after the Impale is applied, it can stack up to 60 stacks of Impale of each different skill. And basically that's why we have other Impales on the other skills, in order not to extract it and rather stack it. And then this is important because no matter how many stacks of impale you have, the only stack of impale that you are gonna extract with the highest damage dealer, in this case Tempest Bell, you have, is gonna be the highest magnitude, the highest damage of the impale you have on an enemy, right? Because if we, okay, this damage and supplementary even okay, so this damage also okay. A single attack hit can only extract one impale at a time. When this occurs, the strongest impale is always extracted first. In this case, since we have impale on all of our skills, Whirling Assault also applies impale. So, but it applies a low damage impale hit. So basically, we have let's say 20 impale stacks on an enemy. 15 of them are from Whirling Assault. 10 of them are from Whirling Assault, and 5 of them are from Hollow Resonance. And then we have 2 from Hollow Focus or 3 from Staggering Palm. Now, as I said before, Staggering Palm and Hollow Focus are the highest damage dealers. And when I will attack with the Tempest Bell hit, the Tempest Bell hit is gonna extract only the Staggering Palm, either the Staggering Palm Impale hit or the Hollow Focus one, because they are gonna be the highest damaged Impale hit afflicted on that enemy. Alright, so that's why we are using every skill that we have Impale in order not to extract it, and extract it. Actually, it forces the extraction to be from the highest damage skills before the Tempest Bell. Okay, that being said, we're moving into Wither. Now, what Wither does is pretty basic. We are applying it through Withering Presence, which is an aura buff that withers enemies every 1.44 seconds. What Wither does, it's basically applies 5% increased chaos damage taken to the enemy up to 10 stacks. At 10 stacks, we have 50% increased chaos damage taken. We don't really have all the time 50% stacks, but even one stack is gonna feel the difference. So that's nice to have. Basically, Wither utilizes kind of every poison or chaos damage build in the game. Next up, we have Armor Break, which is pretty basic, straightforward. That what it does, it's basically breaking armor on an enemy so that our damage would ignore that enemy's armor. Moving on to defenses. Now, defenses, it's pretty basic. We are having evasion, deflection, energy shield, and CI, and auras as well. Like we're stacking 3 auras, defensive auras actually, and then CI on top of all the evasion, deflection, and energy shield, so that we don't bother stacking chaos reson items and getting affected by bleeding, because we have 0 armor and that bleeding is gonna hit hard through our shield and evasion once we get hit. Yeah, evasion, we have plenty amount of it. 20,000. Yes, 20,000 evasion rating with a 67% chance to evade attacks. 16k deflection rating with 72% chance to deflect, and energy shield, as you can see, 5,400. Now, as I said, we are using a lot of auras. In this case, I'm going to talk about the charge regulation, which we're using it mainly for this mode right here, which grants us 20% more armor, evasion, and energy shield. Armor is pretty irrelevant, but evasion and energy shield are affecting us directly. So how do we get these endurance charges? Through this support gem right here. Like every time we break armor on an enemy, we are having 20% chance to gain an endurance charge. That way, when we have an endurance charge, we have 6k 400 energy shield, so that's 1000 more. while we don't have any endurance charges, and 24k evasion rating with 20k deflection, 92% deflection chance. Yeah, so that's pretty solid, I'd say. We are also utilizing Ghost Dance for another layer, kind of layer of defense, which is the regeneration, alongside the faster recharge of energy shield, which we didn't really stack it that much. It's only reduced to 0.8 seconds. Normally this would be 4 seconds, the delay. Now we have, but we have 3.28 through some nodes right here, not here, this here. You can further increase this and stack more or faster energy shield recharge rate, but I didn't feel like I have to, because Ghost Dance makes it works pretty fine with us. It basically gets us a shroud every 10 seconds, and every time you would get hit, this shroud, it consumes a shroud and regenerates 2% of your evasion rating per second as energy shield, right? And then we have Wind Dancer, which basically grants us 10% more evasion rating per stage. In total, we get 30% more evasion rating. And alongside this node right here, which is 20%, and the one from endurance charges, which is also 20%, we have in total 70% evasion rating, more evasion rating, and 50%, 40% energy shield, more energy shield. So that's a pretty good combination of auras and stats that we use. Then let's get into the gems explaining. Actually, wait 1 second. So we have 26 minutes. Let's see if we can speed this up. Basically, the gems, our main damage dealer here is gonna be the Tempest Bell, and not every hit on the Tempest Bell after we get the Tempest Bell on the ground and we hit it with Whirling Assault. The main damage dealer is actually the impact of the Tempest Bell. So basically, after you build 4 combo on the bell with other skills, hitting other skills with attacks, you can use the bell and the impact, like when you put it on the ground, the bell does insane amount of damage. As you can see here, it's 700% attack damage, and that can be translated into 500 DPS. And that's important because, as I said earlier, the poison works based on a high damage hit. So basically, that's the damage dealer. We have on it we have these support gems on it. I'm gonna explain them later. Then we have the Whirling Assault, which we only use it. We are stacking a lot of attack speed on it, and we're only using it for the combo stacker on the Tempest Bell and also Mantra of Destruction. This is also a good thing that we can also proc the Bell Shockwave pretty fast. Like we are pretty efficient at proccing the Shockwave, and that's also some extra damage. And also for the Staggering Palm proc, which this skill alone makes the build viable, as in clearing maps, because without the Staggering Palm it would be pretty slow, pretty clunky, whatever. And as I write here down, the Staggering Palm is only for clearing and as an impale applier. That's why we are using this skill. Why Impale Applier? Because also has a pretty nice amount of damage, base damage, as you can see here. And why Staggering Palm at all with Whirling Assault combo? Because I'm gonna show you real quick in a Crier Picks, even though you probably already seen this in the showcase video. I'm gonna show you one more time why this is cool. Well, as you probably know or you don't know, the Staggering Palm, in order to be procced, or what it does actually, it strikes an enemy. Alright, this is the skill. It strikes an enemy, and if the strike heavy stuns an enemy, you're granting this buff, Staggering Force. And this, what it does, it makes your quarterstaff attacks fire projectiles from all directions. For every attack, basically. And since Whirling Assault has many attacks, This works perfectly with in combo. These skills works perfectly in combo. And also why it is important, because with the martial artist ascendancy class, we don't really have to stagger any enemy. We just have to hit these bells, the hollow focus bells, which spawn pretty often, as you can see. So we have to hit them once, and then we're granting the buff permanently on us until we use an attack. Now, this buff here can stack up to 3 times, but I'm not sure if it's bugged or I don't have enough accuracy, or I don't know what the fuck is going on. I believe I have enough accuracy. Yeah, I don't know. Like, as you can see, okay, 17, 24. Now we don't get it anymore. Okay, 30. So, yeah, you can stack it up to 30 stacks, and that makes you use staggering palm like this. This is how it looks on using whirling assault. Use it constantly. So that's pretty cool. And we are firing whirling. We are firing staggering palm projectiles every time, and this can also kill enemies off screen, as you can see here. So that's why it's a good combo with the martial artist, because you can proc the staggering palm through hollow focus. Alright, moving on to hollow focus. It's basically used only for the impale applier and proccing the staggering palm buff. It applies impale because it has a high base damage. Hollow resonance. This is another combo that we use on this build. We use blind as a core mechanic of the build, because blind used alongside blindside on other skills grants you 15% more crit damage bonus and 15% more chance to critically hit blinded enemies. Well, why is that important? Because we through hollow resonance we apply blind all the time on any enemy at a fairly decent area. Like it doesn't really have a big area of effect, but on bosses, if you stay near them, it always apply. On further mobs from maps, it doesn't really apply. You have to get close, but you will get close pretty fast, so it doesn't really matter. So that's why we use this skill. We have supported on it blind, simply blind enemies on hit, and blind inflict, whatever. This is some extra thing. And then we have armor break. Now, as I said, the armor break has different uses. Mainly, it makes us deal more damage through breaking the enemy's armor, and also gaining an endurance charge, and also having Uruk's melting on hollow resonance is gonna make the enemy take increased physical damage up to 20% once we fully break their armor. This works just as the Wither right here, only that is increased chaos damage taken. This increases physical damage taken. Okay. And what's next? We have Mantra of Destruction. This is a skill we purely use only for generating power charges, and we combo stack it pretty easily. The other thing that this skill does is not really important. You can make something out of it for disempowered attack, since the main damage, our main damage dealer, it's the impact bell hit. And let's say you already used it for power charges, and then you make full stacks of it. You're not gonna reset the power charges duration. Like, you have to cast it 2 times more in order for the power charges duration to be reset. But the empowered attacks attack gains 69% of damage as chaos. And since Tempest Bell is an attack, you can use it for Tempest Impact Bell for a high damage hit on the enemy. That is 69% of chaos damage. That's pretty insane. And then we have the Purple Flames of Chayula, which only works in maps. I don't really care about that. It's pretty useless. Hand of Chayula. Curse. I mean, this is this greatly increases your damage, but doesn't work on bosses. This is insane damage from Pulse of Chayula, as you can see here. 7% of damage extra chaos damage per stack, and you can easily have 10 stacks. That's 70% extra chaos damage. Alright, and then moving next on to Hand of Chayula, we only use this skill for Curse Supplier, Despair, and Sniper's Mark, as you can see here. And yeah, that's kind of all. The auras, I've already talked about the defensive ones. Then we are also utilizing Herald of Blood. This is another skill that's purely used for clearing speed, because after we kill a bleeding enemy, that enemy explodes and also has a 60% chance to poison, and that poison is getting from enemy to enemy, so it's a kind of chain reaction skill for good clear speed. And then the War Banner, which grants us more attack damage and increased attack speed. Basically, as I said before, the War Banner, we also kind of have uptime for it at bosses all the time, because we have 16 seconds duration on the banner, and we are also using it for the extra rage that we get. Moving on to the items. The items on that we have equipped, all the armor items, except for gloves, but gloves are basically the same, are hybrid evasion and energy shield, which you kind of want to take on them. Resistances, as much evasion and energy shield as you can get, and some deflection rating here and there on armor and boots. Maybe even mask, excuse me, the helmet. But I didn't really need it. So the prefix is only evasion and energy shield. The suffix is maybe the deflection is the main one. Then you get resistances or attributes that you need for the build to max out these stats. As it goes for the belt, only resistances, because you don't really use anything else on the belt. The ring, rings are also pretty basic. I mean, all you can get is flat fizz damage, evasion, and some chaos damage, which is not really that great for us, but it's okay. I believe that you can make a version of the build that would probably work pretty great through chaos damage rings, chaos damage stuff. Like you get flat chaos damage here, you get the increased chaos damage, you get the stuff with chaos damage that you can craft with the new rune added to the game. Aldur's something was called. Let me check. Betrayal of Aldur. Right, not this one. Oh no, not this one, not my bad. It's this one that can roll decay modifiers. Basically, that rune, what it does. Or is it that one? I believe it's not that one. Wait. Yeah, no, it's this one. Yeah, it's Betrayal of Aldur. This basically you can have a stuff with flat lightning, fire, and cold, and you put this rune socketed in the stuff and transforms all of these modifiers into chaos damage. Which then you would have a chaos damage base quarter stuff. So, as I said, the combo is chaos stuff, quarter stuff, chaos rings, and you can get that belt Ingenuity, I believe, which increases the effect of the rings you have. And this is gonna be a probably good combo because these items are really cheap, like the ring and the quarter stuff to craft is really cheap. And the belt at this moment, I believe, is also cheap. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's nothing. It doesn't value that much. Oh. One second, let me check it real quick. Ingenuity. Yeah, so it's basically nothing, but it got nerfed pretty hard. You can only get like 30%, 30 something percent increased bonuses, so it's not as strong as it used to be before. I believe it used to be like 100% max roll effect of rings. So yeah, and then we have the amulet, which the amulet it's so extra for my build right now because the only important mods from here are level of all melee skills. Like this is the core one. You wanna get this one, and then Spirit is the best one you can get in order to have these many auras that I have, but it's not really mandatory for the build to work. Like you can get rid of Withering Presence, get rid of charge regulation. Like you don't really have to get this amount of spirit because this amulet is extremely expensive. Uh, oh, it's not anymore apparently. Yeah, with energy shield it is, but apparently it's not that expensive. I thought it was gonna be a lot more expensive. It's pretty cheap. So yeah, and then you wanna get defensive stats like energy shield evasion as prefixes and attributes and resistances as suffixes. And I forgot to mention that you kind of need one stat that is leeching physical attack damages mana on any item. You can have it on this one or rings or I don't know where it rolls. And I was trying something out and got increased attack speed on this ring. That's nice because I didn't need anything else from resistances or attributes. Okay, 40 minutes in. Moving on onto the weapon swap. We're using weapon swap on the weapon set 2. We're using the as a we're using it as a curse setup for despair and basically for the war banner to work because the war banner you can generate glory on a war banner on the other weapon set, but then you can switch back and only cast it to put it on the ground, and you still get the buff from the war banner and the rage that we mentioned earlier. So that's pretty nice. And yeah, on weapon set 2 we have the curse setup, which increases the chaos res reduction on the enemies when we use despair. Okay, and then we have support gems as I talked about them, all of them. I don't think I mentioned bleed. We have bleed on staggering palm in order to trigger Herald of Blood. We have bleed as well on Herald of Blood to trigger itself, and then yeah, basically that's all the important support gems, kinda. These are all basically translates into more damage, like you don't have to really explain them. Maybe this one, like the Whirling Assault, the pure idea of using Whirling Assault is to cast other skills through it. For example, the Tempest Balance, the Green Palm. It works as a supporting skill before our main damage skills. So that's why we are stacking this much of attack speed on it. Then we have the Lineage support gems, which Uruk Smelting, as I said, is a pretty good support gem if you break armor constantly. Then Taka Desire, which I explained earlier, grants us more APS for poison. Okay. Based on rage. Arakalis Lust is basically a support used by poison builds that can be better than the way I'm using it because I don't use it at max. Like I can only have 36% increased damage, not 40%, which is max roll, because I only have 4 stacks of poison. Wait, 8 times 4 is 32, right? Yeah, well, actually this can be replaced by something else. I thought it was 36, but my math my math was wrong in the process. Because you can use this better with, I don't know, something that gives you 35% more damage, which I believe there exists besides Heavy Swing. I'm not sure. This one as well. The Rage one, I think. I will check them up. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, and then we have the Medved's Felling. As I said, this one utilizes Rage to get us more attack speed. The Rigwall's ferocity is straightforward. It grants is 30% increase attack speed. Its chimes, this way we make Mantra of Destruction to generate power charges. And the resuscitation, it's only used for requiring less glory for our banner. And the jewels, well, what you want to get on rare jewels is basically these mods right here in this particular order. Like the most important, it's crit bonus damage, then crit chance in case you don't have it stacked, magnitude of damage of elements, magnitude of poison. This damage elements goes before poison because you can get a higher max roll, like the max roll for damaging elements on critical hits. It's 20%, and one increased magnitude of poison simple, it's 15 or 12, which is lower. Then energy shield and evasion, because these are defensive stats. Why not? That we use. On Megalomaniac, you wanna get Craving Slaughter or just Anointed, the Craving Slaughter. This is kinda mandatory, like it's a good adding thing. It's a good damage booster. Alright, and then Prism of Belief with +3 level of Tempest Bell. And Heart of the Well, as you can see here, you want to get extra Chaos, increased energy shield or evasion from equipped body armor, 1 rage on melee hit, because why not, and crit hit or crit hit chance, in this case, or crit damage bonus. Alright, that's kinda the whole explanation of the build. To sum it up, we are basically utilizing crit damage bonus to boost the final hit or initial hit that we deal. I'm not sure which hit is which, but the hit that we are dealing damage is boosted by the critical damage bonus because we are always critical hitting, and we make that critical hit chance transformed into poison hit chance, and this goes hand in hand with each other because poison crit damage bonus can be stacked, but you can get higher amounts, and then since it is scaling this well to get more damage, basically the poison that we're gonna inflict is gonna be of a high magnitude. That's how the whole idea came to my mind and why it worked. Then other things were discovered along the way. For example, Impale or Blindside, or even this how to utilize rage in this build to be more effective. So okay, so I skipped a bit because I wanted to do a Stone Citadel map. Actually not a Stone Citadel, but more like of a Citadel, so the boss is stronger and the whole map is stronger. I got this Waystone here. It has more life, extra lightning damage, and less recovery rate of energy shield. Well, these are not really that strong mods for us, but they are quite strong. For example, the extra lightning damage can be dangerous, and less recovery as well be dangerous. Then we have tablets with quantity of Waystones. Yeah, and let's do the map. This is more like a showcase map for the sake of the video. Why not? Let's see it. I don't know if I'm gonna take the Delirium. Okay, I'm taking the Delirium. And see how it performs in a map. Holy shit, I'm lagging. It's alright though. It's alright, okay. Okay, oh, where is this rogue exile? Here it is. Bam! It's dead. Oh, I'm taking this Chaos Sword. Okay, I'm gonna kind of don't kill all the mobs. I'm heading straight to the boss. Wow, we got something. Okay. Okay, I'm not doing the expedition. Let's do the monolith. Why not? I like monoliths. Expedition not that much. Let's get. Okay. Oh, I like so hard. Okay, he's dead. Let's see the map modifiers. Maybe close this back up. That's kind of uh, overwhelming. Here is a bridge. I'm not gonna do the bridge. Come on. Get me the boss and be done with this map. Here is the boss. Gonna close the delirium. And let's see the boss. It's Doriani. Pour him. So that's the damage. Now let's hope we don't lose our rage. We're keeping it up with the Blood of the Warrior flask. Do this, bam, and he should be dead. That's some damage. Let's see how many fragments. Nice, we got 3. Well, that's something. Alright, so this should be the video. Hope you like the showcase video that I also posted earlier this week. Hope you like this guide, and if you got any questions you can leave them down below in the comments. I will respond every one of them. Yeah, and that's about it. Thank you for watching. I was Kappa. See you in the next one.